So you're thinking about getting a PhD in the US. That's awesome. But let's be real, the application process can feel like you're trying to solve a giant, complicated puzzle, especially if you're an international student. The whole point of this explainer is to give you a clear game plan. We're going to break it all down from the paperwork to how you get paid so you can build an application that truly makes them say, wow, we need this person.
All right, so here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the nuts and bolts, the absolute essentials of your application. Then we're going to talk about the money, how it works, and what it really means to be fully funded. After that, it's all about strategy. And we'll wrap up by looking at the common mistakes so you can steer clear of them. First up, let's just deconstruct the application itself. What are the actual building blocks you need to put together to even have a shot?
Look, getting into a great program is a marathon, not a sprint. You absolutely cannot cram this into a weekend. Why? Because the most important parts, like building a real connection with professors so they'll write you a stellar recommendation letter, that stuff takes months. A solid timeline isn't just a nice idea, it's literally the most important tool you have. This right here, this is the perfect example of the shift you need to make in your head. The first one sounds like a fan. It's nice, but it's passive. The second one, that sounds like a scholar. It's active, it's specific, and it immediately tells the admissions committee, I know what I'm talking about and I have a plan. That's who they want to admit. The Statement of Purpose, or SOP, is probably the single most important document you'll write, and it is so easy to mess up. You have to avoid these traps. Don't just say you're a hard worker. Give them an example that proves it. And please, don't just flatter a professor. Engage with their research. Show them you've done your homework. Your goal is to prove you're ready to be a future colleague, not just another student.
Okay, let's get to the question that is on literally everyone's mind. Money. How in the world does anyone afford a PhD in the United States? Well, the answer might actually surprise you. So, let me just say this loud and clear. You should not be paying for your PhD. In the US, pretty much all reputable programs are fully funded. And what does that mean? It means they pay you. Yeah, you heard me. They cover your tuition, your fees, and they give you a salary, what they call a stipend, to live on while you study. So how do they pay you? It usually comes in two main flavors. The most common is an assistantship, which is basically a part-time job you do for the university. The other kind is a fellowship. Think of this like a super prestigious scholarship. It's a merit-based award that pays you to focus entirely on your own research, no strings attached. Now, most funded students are going to have an assistantship. You might be a teaching assistant or TA, helping out with undergraduate classes. Or you could be a research assistant, an RA, working directly in a lab on a professor's project. And here's the key thing to know. RA positions are almost always paid for by a professor's research grants. If they don't have grant money, they don't have RA spots. It's that simple.
Okay, so you get a stipend, but the big question is, how much are we really talking about here? Let's look at some real numbers, and maybe more importantly, some of the real costs you might not see coming.
On the higher end of the scale, you might see a number like this, $37,000 a year. This is pretty common in a high-demand STEM field like physics, where there tends to be a lot more government and industry funding to go around. For a lot of places in the US, that's a pretty comfortable salary.
But then, there's the other end of the spectrum. You might see a number like $15,500. That's a huge difference, right? And this is exactly why you have to research every single program. And don't just look at the dollar amount. A bigger stipend in an expensive city like Boston could leave you with less cash in your pocket than a smaller stipend in a more affordable college town. You have to factor in the cost of living. And I've got to warn you, that stipend number on your offer letter, it isn't the whole story. Even when you're fully funded, there are all these little hidden costs that can pop up and totally wreck your budget if you're not prepared for them. First of all, just applying can cost a fortune. You've got fees for each school, plus the cost of standardized tests. Then there's the huge cost of moving. And just when you think you're done, you get hit with mandatory institutional fees that your tuition waiver doesn't cover. Oh, and my personal favorite, you might have to pay for things like conference travel out of pocket and then wait months to get reimbursed. It happens all the time. So with acceptance rates in the single digits for many programs, a good application isn't enough. You need a great one. How do you get that strategic edge? Well, it's not just about being smart. It's about showing that you're the perfect fit for them. And that starts with finding the right people. Let me be completely clear about this. Your relationship with your PhD advisor is the #1 factor that will determine your success and, frankly, your happiness for the next 5+ years. You're not just choosing a school, you are choosing a mentor. So how do you find out who they really are?
And here it is. This is the ultimate insider trick. The professor is going to be on their best behavior when they're recruiting you, right? But their current grad students? Oh, they will give you the real, unvarnished truth if you just give them a chance to talk to you honestly, away from the professor. And when you get that chance, you need to ask the tough questions. Don't be shy. Ask them, is this person supportive if I want a job outside of a university? Ask, what's the funding really like? Do you have to constantly teach to make ends meet? And the most important one, has anyone ever left the group and why? The answers to these questions are pure gold. Okay, let's finish up by talking about what can go wrong. Because knowing the common pitfalls, the red flags to watch out for, is the absolute best way to make sure you can avoid them from the very start. I want you to think like a person on the admissions committee for a second. You have a stack of 400 applications for 10 spots. You aren't looking for reasons to say yes, you are desperately looking for easy reasons to say no. A generic personal statement that you clearly sent to 20 other schools? Nope. Your research interests don't match anyone there? Easy no. Typos all over the place? It just shows a lack of care. Don't give them an easy reason to toss your application in the bin. So that's the game plan. Applying to a PhD program isn't just about showing off your grades. It's about making a strategic, compelling case for your future. It's a campaign, and it takes research and a clear vision. But if you understand all the pieces, the application, the funding, the unspoken rules, you can build a case that doesn't just get you in, it gets you into a place where you can actually thrive. So the only question left is, are you ready to make your move?